whakamue mititia, whakanuia, ko koe te ia we atua, te pāpā, tō mātai matua nui te rangi. Whakanuia ko koe, whakawhetai rawa, i tēnei rā, Meoho na katoa, ka whakarita mai nei e ko koe, i runga i te whakaro nui anu ki a tātou mātau. Ka whakau atu, ki roto ki te pai, ki roto ki te whakaronui, ohu ki a tātou mātau. Ai te ingoa te Iehua. Āmene, ka piti hono ka tātai hono ko tātou mā te mate ki a tātou. Ka piti hono ka tātai hono ko tātou mā tonu anu tēnei tātou te kānuhi ora koa. Kai te mihi atu, tēnā rā tātou mauri ora. Nau mai haere mauri ora Kahuri, kia ora, yes. I bet none of you, I forgot to tell you last night that once I got off, because I was in too much of a hurry to get off last night, because I was running late, but I forgot to let you know that I was getting on again today to finish off the last page of our kōrero, and so I can get through all of that, and then that would leave me free for the next 4 weeks, answering those questions out there, all of those requests for knowledge and clarification. I've hopefully answered most of them out there. Just a number more to come, and then we'll be all done, especially focused on TeTaiTongaAukatiTai today, and that's the Northern Divide, and looking at all of the other areas that we forgot to cover last night, that I just skimmed over just quickly last night before I jumped off last night. So yeah, here I am again today, really glad to be back on a rātu, just like last week we did, because we needed to cover everything over the couple of days, and get all the kōrero in there that we could. So where we're at with the settlements, and with the, I'll get into a little bit more on the PaeperaKoroutu project. There's just a wee bit more in there that I forgot. But the update on the settlements, yes, we're currently awaiting our lawyers, Watkins Law. That's Daniel and Roz of Watkins Law. Yeah, they'll be looking to ensure that we can get as much headway as possible into, 1, getting control of the settlement, 2, making sure we can deal with as many of the issues as we can that we've had all the way to this point in time, and 3, they'll be making sure of exactly what's left over, or what's priority, what's critical to take to court, should we need to go to court. We'll give it a bit of time. Who knows, maybe the kahunu are still in the Crown, and Rangitane are still awaiting a time forward. Perhaps they're in Hui, meeting around the different aspects that we've brought to you. It's hugely, it's such a dilemma, isn't it? They continue to make things complicated. They continue to insult us. They continue to trample us. They continue to act in ways quite criminal through the process. They continue to trespass. And they continue to ignore the simple fact. Ko mātou ke, a Tahumaakaa kanuimatua Tutura. We are the traditional Tahumaakaa kanuimatua of the region. We hold all the chiefships, we hold all the seniority, whilst under Kahungunu. And in fact, all their tribes, they come from the seventh line of descent of Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, all those that do, all the way down. So there you go. We don't have much, in the way of being able to sort of let things, soften up on what we need to do around the issues that we're dealing with in terms of being able to deal with the process and being able to deal with the kahungunu rangitane and the Crown. Within the different areas of the process that we need to deal with. So that's what we are waiting on, our lawyers to get control, or for kahungunu rangitane and the Crown to come back with a new agreement, and in that new agreement, a compromise, accepting our tūturutanga, and accepting that we're not from kahungunu rangitane, which they already know. Hey, kahungunu rangitane already know. And obviously the Crown now, they've had it drummed into them by now, the Crown. They already know. E hara mātou I te tāngata o Rarotonga. E hara hoki mātou I te tāngata whakapapa mai eke. Uri whakaeke mai I roto kahungunu rānei, rangitāne nui a rangirāne, karaka. And they're very tēnā, both groups. All those elements of the question that leave us, really with no other alternative but to keep full and tūturu control as iwi do, when their survival is threatened, when their interests and rights within a region, and our interests and rights lay within the entire of this region, and they're being hugely threatened by these factions. These factions are saying, no, you don't matter, we matter, and we're going to settle here. Yeah, is that right? How about we all settle under this whakatapu? How about that? And we're quite happy with things how they are. We quite like the peace in the valley that there is. There's a lot of peace. There's a lot of strength waiting to be built on. There's a lot of power in universal or unified acceptance of the tūturutanga. The tūturutanga of our tupuna is so very, very powerful. We're so, it's quite saddening to be having to be, it's been 15 years we've been dealing with this process and the system of the authoritarian dictatorship of the Crown. Now, within that whole system and process, we've been so saddened by the simple fact, that the power and the strength and the magic, of our tupuna and of their customary ways is totally, trespassed and trampled and driven out of the way by this particular process. But we've hung in there. We've kept on hitting them with the customary, and they keep on coming back with this process that doesn't like the customary, obviously, and don't run on the customary. They just run on a piece of paper and what's written on there that gives them control of resources on paper, that is. What all these groups haven't got, and we touched on that last night, is they haven't got a traditional mandate. Now, we've got that. See, we've got that. And we're the only ones ready to actually get a mandate like what they've got. But theirs, we would like to say, is absolutely illegal. And we're hoping that our lawyers, Watkins Law, they come in with us to ensure that we drive all these things home, take it all to court if we have to, bring the police in if we have to, just to make sure we make fully aware these people that they are not welcome in our land, to push their envelope, to push their illegal ways and practices and their criminal maneuvers within our land. They're not welcome to do any of that. Especially the Crown, without its, there's nothing to justify any mana, any, even governance is not established within any of our lands because we did not accept that. I te kāwanatanga o mātou wenua ki roto o Wairarapa. And in fact, all our lands, okay, as, promised, te ki taurangi neira I roto te tiriti 1840, te tiriti 1840. So welcome back, e tātou mānau mai haere hoki tonu mai. And tēnā rā tātou, ngā mihi ake atu, e tātou mā, ka kara hui mai anō ai, kara mui mai anō ai, kara pine mai anō ai, me mātou, ki roto ki ngā kōrero a Tahumaakaa kanuimatua settlements, Tahumaakaa kanuimatua ki ngā Whakataunga kleme. Arara, I rara nāno ka pena atu anō ai, takoto iho anō ai, raupapa mai anō ai, pena mai anō ai, ki runga ki ngā taunaha o ngā tūpuna mātua o mātou I roto Tahumaakaa kanuimatua putatu ki Tutura te matua kia te awa putatu ki mō ai Hapu. Okay, and so obviously we were left with the ahikaroa. We outgrew our tupuna, we outgrew our other iwi within these regions, right through up to, well, not up to the north. We actually started off in the north, ended up in the south and built upwards around that way, while some of us went round the east and built around through that way. And we all met up in the west and in the east, in TeTaiTongaAukatiTai and within TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. And that's where we started to settle and settle our various groups. I guess it took us a while to build some of our groups around the different aukatitai, all four. We're in all four divides of the country, east, north, west, and south. And it took us a while to build some of our tribal groups, our Hapu Uretaarewa, our composites. And it took us some time to build up the generations within those and have them in the right areas of the divides before we were happy to properly settle. And so and we can tell that because our most senior didn't settle down until they started to settle down in TeTaiTongaAukatitai. Okay, and so, here I am back again, and most of what our kōrero, like I was saying, is on TeTaiTongaAukatitai today. But that's it, in a nutshell. That's the update on settlements. They haven't come back to us yet. We're awaiting them and the Crown. So we're guessing that they're in hui. But, time has passed. The Whakatapu went up to full power at Turukipo last night. And we're feeling good about that. It's so powerful in our region at the moment in Wairarapa. We shouldn't need things like this to ensure that people comply with the power of the seniority and the authority of the seniority in the region. And also the ones with the overwhelming land rights and interests in the region, which is us as well. Okay, and there's such a lack of respect and compliance with those rights and interests, and also a lack of respect for our seniority and our various Hapu Uretaarewa from right throughout the region. So the whole 12 are in Wairarapa. And that's a shame, that we need a whakatapu in order to get that. And we felt that straight away. Soon as actually long before Turukipo, we started to feel that already setting in. And so that's good. That's good. We need to keep that up. 280,000 of us, Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, Tuturu, from right throughout the country, top of the north to the bottom of the south, and from Te Punga o Te Waka Maui, Putatiki roto te tai hawauru, te meane, te tai pu karukaru o Poutini, right up and joining back up at Kahurangi, Whanganui Inlet, te tai tapu, which is in the west, where we end our northern, te tauihu, not northern, te tauihu rights and interests in there, and it's a hard case because we joined up back there. We didn't think we did for a while there, but we actually do. And so, look, that's a huge, massive land, and also home to 1.8 million plus people. So, every time I get on, or every time we do anything in the motu, or anything happens on our pages, or through social media, or through TV, or whatever broadcasts that we do, the whole of these regions and all our hapuri get all that kōrero, and so we are very, very happy with that. We estimate worldwide around about an audience or a population base within the vicinity of about 20 million plus. That's worldwide. So we've got some, and that's not just throughout our populations worldwide that we tap into, that we are part of their nations and descendants of those nations, but also from throughout our markets, our trade and commerce markets, our trade, the trade ports in the Commonwealth, of which there are 300 from right throughout the world, throughout America, all of the Commonwealth, South America, North, you name it, we've got markets and everything around there. So around about 20 million plus, almost 22 million plus people in the world that we in particular are part of. And so that's one huge whānau to be a part of. And we're just so happy that we can now be rest assured that compliance in the region is rock solid. And it needs to be kept that way even throughout the communities, even though you're safe in the communities, just stay compliant as well. And just to be on the safe side. And although our tamariki, 18 years of age down, they're all safe too. Make sure that we all keep compliance anyway. And we make sure that, as is tikanga tika me tikawa. There's always the reverence for authority. Remember, we're very, very similar in culture to the Japanese and Chinese and the Indian. We have a reverence for authority, and with authority usually comes seniority. And seniority in this region as well. We deserve that. This is what I like about the Whakatapu, is that we get everything that is assuredly ours. And all our taonga in the region are definitely ours and under our control by law. Okay, that's law and order. Okay, rather than legalistic. I don't know why I had legalistic on my mind last night. I kept talking in legal terms, which is legal. I mean, law and order is legal. That's our old law system of tikanga tika me te kawa. But what I really meant was law and order. Okay, so that's our update, and the PaeperaKoroutu. One thing I forgot to share with you is that just remember our Reo Hapu version of the Bible, which is our Reo Hapu version that will translate the Life Skills and Application Study Bible from the New Language Translation. The first Bible to give us some clarity here in our iwi, and that's probably mostly due to me, because I don't understand English as well as people might hope, and I don't speak English as well as people might hope. Mind you, my English has improved greatly, but yeah, you wouldn't think it, sometimes. But I do have my difficulties. So it took this Bible, and that was after about 14 different Bibles I had to go through before I was comfortable. And this was the first one, so it's no wonder we're going to translate that one first. And that's in our Reo Hapu. And that one, in particular, because the word of the Lord, the word of God, the word of the Father, which we in Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, we humbly accept that. What a wonderful gift. What a wonderful taonga for us. And granted us via our tuakana. We've got a little bit to share on some of that. In fact, there's a few minor details we'll need to clarify before we go into TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. So it's no wonder I've got those things on my mind. So I'll get onto those minor details just before we go into TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. But with the Reo Hapu in particular is interrelations language. It's relationship language. Okay? And so this is the type of language befitting for PaeperaKoroutu, because that's what it is. It's the Lord's word in a language that is relational, and from, like for me, from a father to a son, or if you're a sister in Christ, from the father to that daughter, of Christ. Look, I'm so rapt that we have Reo like that. And this is the type of Reo, I guess and in fact it shows, although they used the branch of Reo Hapu, they actually didn't use full-on Reo Hapu, which is what we're going to use. And we take it that would have been because they did not know a Reo Hapu, or were not able to have a Reo Hapu. Perhaps all of the Hapu or iwi up that way disagreed that they should have that Reo full on. And that would be right too. There would be tikanga, tika and kawa, because iwi did not give out their Reo Hapu, and neither did they include you in their Reo Hapu. So most times within the society, the traditional society of that time where the missionaries were and the crown agents were, most often when they spoke on their own, none of them could make out what they were saying, because they would have always spoken in Reo Hapu. Their particular Reo Hapu, they never ever gave it to the missionaries or the crown agents, or even the Pākehā. Pākehā never got their hands on the Reo Hapu. We're going to give that out. We're giving the biblical side of this Reo out, because we've got lots and lots of other words to take the place of a lot of those words within our Reo Hapu anyway. And why we want to do that is because it's largely interrelational, and that's what the Lord commands, that relationship. And it's a way of building a relationship with the Lord, and of the Lord building that relationship with you, continuing to build it and build it and build it and build it well into the future. And that's what I've learned. So far, I've nearly finished my first reading of the Bible ever. PaeperaKoroutu, here I come, just about done. And so we're going to go into probably my second reading, probably after the next 18 months. And possibly before that, we'll start meeting with the Bible, the Bible Society Some of our whanaunga, the Israelites, some of our other whanaunga, the ihiperu, the iheraera. That's how we say that. We say iheraera, like that. And the ieu, and also the kiriki. Yeah, we call the Greeks, or uru, ngā tāngatau uru. But uru in particular was Crete, that particular part of Greece, because that's where we he whanaungatanga ke no mātau, o roto Tahumaakaa kanuimatua ki rā tangata ki kiriki. Raumu anō hoki i ngā rōmene, Keinini, and one of the groups I forgot last night to mention among the Cushites, the Canaanites, the Israelites, the Ihiperu, the Shemites, the Camites or the Hamites. These were their tribal groupings. See, we our tribal history goes right back into ancient times. We never stopped being tribes, and in fact, we were so much more super tribal way back in the ancient times than we are today. Millions and millions of people made up our tribal groups in ancient times. So we got smaller and smaller. But I'm not too sure whether we got smaller as a result of going into Pacifica, where again our culture developed, but we continued to diversify. And these are some of the elements I wanted to share with you as we go into talking around TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. Look, we continue to diversify right through. And the thing about our, we talk about Tao Kohatu and all that sort of thing. But I'll just finish off PaeperaKoroutu, that project. We'll probably start a lot of those things a lot earlier in the piece. Maybe even early or midway next year. I might start meeting with a lot of these people and get a lot of the groundwork set and going, and start doing, finishing off a lot of the homework and meeting with a lot of those people overseas and here, and all of that sort of thing to really make sure we can make a good start. By the time I get to like where I am, around about around 20, wherever I am in the New Testament by then. Which was the one? The last book of Paul. Houro, we call Paul Houro. And the last book of Paul, we would want to, once I get to that one, I can't remember which one it is, the last book of Paul. And once I get to there, we might officially start to translate and get the first lots of official translations down and start things rolling. At the moment, everything that we have is not official. We have roughly, for all the phrases that we've been looking at throughout the Bible in English, we've been putting them in different translations from our Reo Hapu, and utilizing different words from Reo Hapu, ReoaarewaHapu, and also Reo Tuturu, Reo Matua. And we've been just working with them as we go. Now, what we've found is that we've changed all of those around about 5 times already. So we're probably on to the 5th interpretation of a lot of the phrases that we've been translating already. Not officially though, but we're just working with those translations and having a good look at the wordings that we have. What we're left with, obviously, after my second reading, and I get to the last book of Paul, and I can't remember what that is, sorry, trying to remember, is it Yono? No, might be one of the other books. However, when we get to there, hopefully we'll be finished working with these phrases, and we'll do a final on those phrases, and then we'll make an official start on the actual translating of the PaeperaKoroutu. And that is the Life Application Study Bible that I can just see sticking out just now. And begin that one. The KJV we're going to do last, because that's a biggie, that one. We're going to need to utilize the services of our people of Ihelaira, our people of Ihiperu, our people of, that's the group I forgot to mention last night, was the Nubians. The Nubians are also closely related to the Kush. The Kuhi, we call them, the Kuhi, Africa Nubia. So the African Nubians are closely connected with Ihiperu. So there we go, all our connections there into Eastern Europe, and then through Moai Hapu, we actually connect back into Western Europe. Okay, and that's Hākese, because they're the people that colonized us. And so, amazing kōrero, amazing journey. If we ever wanted to know exactly who we were, our customary identity in the world today, our people of Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, we have it in no uncertain terms. And I so thank the Lord for all of that kōrero, for all of that research, for all of that knowledge, for all of the different faculties that had a hand in that, you know, the physicists, the archaeologists, the anthropologists, you know, all those scientific fields of study that have assisted in that, you know, and all our tuturu fields of study, you know, Meoho, that's when we mention Hatu, we're talking about the most traditional fields of study of the Stone Age world. That's what we call that. The Stone Age world is where we come from. Hatu. When we talk about Hatu, we talk about that. The Stone Age world of our Tupuna, where we began to develop more so into the culture that we were when the colonizer in circa 1769, well before that, 1450, between 1450, the first real colonizers were actually from Great Britain. So yeah, that's circa 1769 AD. So that's where colonization began for us. And we, you know, we lost connection with a lot of these different lineages of ours. So a few more things in there to just a few things to tidy up just before I move on, and that's some of those loose ends that I left there last night. Like, for instance, firstly, I think I finished PaeperaKoroutu there. Yeah, I did. And so firstly, getting into, we're back into those things that have brought us to the present situation that we have for our tribes, for our iwi, and between us, the Crown, Kahunu and Rangitane, why we have the situation we have today, and why we just won't sign unless they give us the compromise that we want in the agreement. Definitely count out this defrauded one. We're never gonna unrefuse that, so they can forget that. I'm just so happy now, that we can feel good about, being accepted and being, the truly the mana whenua that we are right now. Whilst we're under the whakatapu, it's a pity we needed that, but that's what iwi do. And any iwi in tūturu times, and Taunaha would do this, if people within their region or who, for whatever reason, were claiming in their region as well, were threatening our survival, threatening our rights and interests and our ahikaroa in the region, this is what we would do. And so, it certainly, it sets the record straight and it puts everything back into perspective very, very quickly. And so I'm quite happy today. But look, everyone needs to totally comply. Just a little bit more on that Aokohatu side of things, where we talked about the worldview of Aokohatu of that we share a bit of tūhoe-awa, and also our worldview connecting the tūhoe-awa and having our tūākana of Naphtali and Joseph and all those people and our connections within Cush, the Canaanites, the Shemites, the Camites or Hamites, and the African Nubians and Ihiperu, all our connections throughout them, why they are one with us in this land. Okay? Why? Because we all descended through, eventually we descended through one whānau. That's why. And I think some of the tūhoe probably, I could hear some of them thinking aloud while I was talking about that last night, because some of them would have guessed that. Oh, we must come through one whānau, and that's the case. And that is the only way that within our land here, we could be totally connected back into Taunaha there. Even though those tūākana chose to stay with our ancient roots. Okay, we didn't. We moved on from our ancient roots and we built our own culture around the pantheon. We continued with the pantheon. They stayed with our ancient roots. Okay? See, and you should have guessed that when I mentioned Cam and Shem, the Shemites, and Camites, because they're all one whānau. See? And actually, even back in our ancient roots, you might as well say we were all one whānau as well. And we descended through there. So the tūākana status within there doesn't change. Be it within their land or be it within ours, it doesn't change. And if we refuse to let them have anything to do with our Aokohatu, like how tūhoe and awa do, they would refuse that. They wouldn't let them sit above them either. And that's how they operate their Aokohatu. Well, our worldview is quite different, and we would let them slip alongside us on this side here in particular. Why? Because they would be the senior side, the tūākana side, and we work side by side. Well, I have a wee bit more kōrero to add to that, and that is some of the kōrero that I missed last night. I don't know how I missed it. It was there, written. I guess I was quite excited moving through the different kōrero and enjoying that kōrero. It's good to have that good, in-depth, old, detailed kōrero for us. Even though just skimming the surface for us, we needed to know that actually the substance in there is absolutely, substantial and sufficient for us to know that there's enough substantiating the facts in there for our descents into this land. Because we never went so much into the Southern Asian areas. There was Tonga and Samoa. We carried on from Savai'i out. And most of us ended up, including our line, within the Tahitian, French Polynesian archipelago, archipelagos, or whatever you call it. and we ended up in that area. TeTaiTongaAukatiTai, directly connected with Tutura, Western Samoa. And so we descended through there. Now look, the same thing can be said of TeTaiTongaAukatiTai and Tutura, one whanau. See? So that particular line can also take this side, and their world is beside us, and we can share between worlds and whatever we want within our worlds. See? And this is why we are fine with being God-centered, see? Because we can choose to use what we can from our tuakana's world, albeit different. They're still our kohatu and they're still part of us, because they're still one whanau with our descent lines. See, albeit different. We chose, as an iwi, to do away with our occult, to do away with our dark side, to do away with the derogatory as well in our practices, and keep everything within the positive energy of our people and keep everything within the light. Okay, and that's our decision, which is a decision that if anyone within our iwi wish to follow the Lord, or if the Lord, we made the Lord first in everything that we do, if we gave everything to the Lord and passed it by him and had his control over all those things in his will and his plans for us, leading us all the way through everything we need to do in our future journey through life as an iwi, then that was the commitment that we were prepared to make, however much time it's going to take us to do that. And that's why I touched on PaeperaKoroutu on that project, because that's one of the steps we're looking to take to help us to fulfill that journey. Why do we want that? Because the atua of our tuakana from over that side of the world happens to be, if not the most powerful atua in the world today. It happens to be, so powerful in the world today, and everyone else is, not so formidable, which is telling us something. We should have maybe included a lot more, or perhaps even done what we're doing today and become God-centered many generations ago, perhaps. Okay, we were still tribal people. Our tuakana are still super tribal people, but they dealt in hundreds of thousands. They had hundreds of thousands in each of their tribes, some of them millions. We're talking about the ancient tribes among the Africans, the African tribes. These are the original tribes of Africa, long before we got to the state of Africana. Okay, and the Egypt we know today, blah, blah, blah. Okay, without going into all that kōrero so much. Okay, so that's another line we can have beside us, have their world. Though it be different, we can share between those worlds. In a lot of cases today, sometimes when we get together, we share in our whanaungatanga with these ancestries that are part of us, like the Samoan one. The line of Tutura. Only that line, though, because we don't descend from any other line of Samoa. So all the other ones, even though they be whanaunga to this one, they wouldn't be in the same sort of. They can be included, but by law and order, this line has special privilege in the country. And this line of Tutura of Western Samoa. So because that's, one of our lines of descent, especially through Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, and Te Awa. Tutura te matua of Te Awa. Sorry, not Te Awa, generally, but through Tutura te matua and through our line as well. Okay, cool, eh? And that's how that works within Te Ao Kōhatu now. Tūhoe awa, they're a bit non-flexible, they're a bit There's no room to move. A little bit too oversimplified, a lot of the ways of doing things within those tribes sometimes. We've got to be careful of that. And the mono-focus, monocultural, monolingual, mono-economical, mono-political, everything's mono just about. And that's why we are critical of Tūhoe and Awa, that they're a bit colonized in there, in different areas. So there's a number of things in there to remember. So even though we came down through those lines, coming out of India, we dispersed off into Savai, which we called Hawaii Kiraro. And then from there we swept out into the Pacifica. Our Tongans and Samoans coming through the Taiwan and Southern Asia as well. And then us remarrying back into them through Tahiti. The majority of the country is Tahitian. Yeah, not actually Rarotongan. But there are some Rarotongan lines and tribal groups. And there are some Cook Island as well. Cook Island roots in some of the tribes. But not a lot, because the overwhelming majority you'll find is Tahitian. And in particular, we want to, just do a little spiel before I get on to TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. A little spiel for Hapu, which is also our connection, with the Western European. See, so we connect back into Wales, I think it is, Scotland. And I'm not too sure about England. Maybe not. Maybe that's why they colonized us. They knew we had connections through Moai into England and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think, I think around about King William III onwards, I think we started to intermarry into those lines, and we started to get a lot of more connections through Scotland and Wales, etc., etc., etc. But the Moai could tell you more about all those connections. We're connected through them as well. Are they all kōhatu? Oh, of course. We would never have followed them if they weren't. Have they the reo? Oh, of course. As soon as we heard the reo of Moai, Hapu, we knew. They were, there's our reo tūturu. But from the island point of view, from the original islands, and there was the reo of Rekohu, and also the reo of Te Pito Te Henua, and also Raiatea Tahiti. And as soon as we heard that, we knew that because we were actually looking for that line over that time, and straight away we knew it was them. We checked out the whakapapa lines, yeah, sure enough, and then we started doing our research on our reo, etc., 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 and we had to be more. Well, what we know, a lot of our iwi, our primary iwi of the country, I think there's a part of Māmoe as well that disagree with the Moai lineage, or I think you'll find, because we've found for that overwhelmingly, actually, it's all Moai. Overwhelmingly, they will find. And they're all kōhatu. But the other thing is they use English, and they know, they're a lot stronger. Tūhoe focuses a lot on their, they pride themselves on their English and stuff like that. Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, we're still like our Tupuna. We pride ourselves more on our originality and our own deal and stuff like that. But we're changing, and for me as well, I've always been someone who's always been quite stooped within my own self. Within our own deal and the ways of old and stuff like that. even if outwardly I never portrayed that, sometimes I just kept it within myself. And largely that was due to because I lived in a largely colonized world. The society I grew up in had no, not even the marae, I could say, was truly tūturu Māori. Tūturu Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, etc., etc., etc. Even a lot of the elders, as knowledgeable as they were, and as, with respect, I say this, but none of them, though there was some knowledge of Aukōhatu, there was very little. And so very much you would say that in terms of Aukōhatu among the korua, this is one of the things I wanted to share with you. Some of the kōrero that the kahungunu hold on to is kōrero-a-waha. So it's oral research and oral kōrero given over by their korua. I listened to all that kōrero, and none of those korua are Aukōhatu, and none of them had the reo in particular that was full-on Aukōhatu. Though some did have the reo, we can't disagree with that. But then again, today and even in those times, I couldn't agree that there was full-on reo take going on there, because we would have needed to have reo hapu, we would have needed to have reo matua, we would have needed to have reo hapu as well. And none of those korua had any of those three reo. Okay? There's the three reo that make up a native reo, a reo of nativity. Okay, none of them had to have had their why, because Tahumaakaa kanuimatua had not returned back to the fold yet. Okay, at the times of those oral kōrero. That never happened until, as I say, circa 2009. That's when we officially came back into the fold. When did we start, though? Back in 1998. Okay, that's when we started to rebuild our iwi back into the fold. When did we enter officially? 2009. Okay, and though a lot of that oral kōrero came in over that time, round about 2010 or 2012, 2010 or somewhere around there, they still missed our time for when we came in. Could have been earlier, 2005, 2007, 2008, but we came into the fold 2009 officially. And so they would have missed that. And so Tahumaakaa kanuimatua hadn't officially started to build yet. Now we're well back into the fold. We're well re-established. And also our opposition have realised since 2016, circa 2016, that it is Tahumaakaa kanuimatua, and we are right. Okay? And that's why we have the defrauded agreement we have now, which was done at that time. We didn't know about that till a few months ago. So you can just, feel how angry, how upset deep down that we are at that particular act committed to by, the accessories and the witnesses and the fraudulent people of those moments, of those they didn't even have the guts to call us in. Why? Because they knew that we'd go against it. Okay? That doesn't mean to say it gave permission to whoever they had there who said that they were tahu. They were not tūturu tahu. They were not claiming tūturu tahu. And so therefore they are not tahu, and therefore why 2225 was not in there. Me being the lead representative gave no consent, and neither would I have. Okay, see, so all the fraudulence builds up there. What we're hoping, though, is that we either get the new agreement or our lawyers get hold of that agreement hold of the whole of the settlement, and we start things all over again, and we do this tuturu way. Okay, just as we're starting to do by utilising the wakatapu, this instrument of the law of old, of iwi, and that we decided back in November 2021 it was time to utilise. There are also other areas we need to be well aware of, e tatauma, and that is that especially around the simple fact that kahunu and rangitane are book, that puts a damper on any sort of agreement of us signing any agreement under them officially is, that's no-go. That's no-go. That's hugely demeaning, hugely debilitating, in fact, for a senior of our calibre. Most senior in the region, that's hugely debilitating. The other elements that I wish to discuss about this area of things is that the kahunu and rangitane, there are lines that connect with Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, Tuturu, and that's with us, but that's not what they're claiming. They're claiming a tahu from them that comes from Rarotonga. Now, there's no tahu comes from Rarotonga. We come from Raiatea Tahiti. We do connect with Rarotonga. We connect with Waitaha Rangi, but that's not all of tahu. That's through our most junior, through Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, te tamarua, see, and our kainui. That's where we connect. Okay, because Moenga Wahine connects with Waitaha Rangi, and then commits to overlay, commits the beginning of overlay of that line through Te Korotai Matua and Iramanawa Piko, who is the sister of Porourangi, which gives us a seniority authority over Porourangi through that line of Waitaha Rangi. Because I have confirmation now, Porourangi's sister was actually his tuakana. Okay? Was actually his tuakana. It was his sister, eh? It was his sister, so I'm thinking about the wrong line. It's Tahu Pōtiki that we have seniority authority over in terms of land position, land location, and interrelationship through the lines of Ngārauru, from whence descends, that's Ngārauru of Te Atiawa Nui no Rungaterangi, from whence descends Porourangi, and his reo and everything, his main line of descent. And also Te Atiawa Nui no Rungaterangi, and through Porourangi's sister, which is Teina. But tuakana to Tahu Pōtiki, who is the Teina within their whānau. Okay, that's what I meant. Now, so in some cases, Waitaha Rangi takes seniorship over Tahu Pōtiki Uri in some cases. And it's usually a land location case. Where it is Waitaha Rangi, when the Tahu Pōtiki Uri comes there, they are Teina. See? Okay? Wherever Waitaha Rangi a Porourangi, Tahu Pōtiki Uri within their land, the Tahu Pōtiki hold seniority there. Those are the the basic tikanga tika me te kawa that we continue to practice from te Ongku Hatu among iwi, among uri composites and among hapu composites that govern all of those areas, specifically around whakapapa and interpreting descent lines. That's another area we want to touch on as we go into TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. Because they have that same trouble in kahunu-rangitane. They don't know how to interpret whakapapa lines, especially ones through tuakana or teina intermarriage. Okay? Usually the ones through tuakana intermarriage, they get completely wrong. And in most cases, more cases than one, they just look at wherever, like for instance, wherever there are ngā puhi line, it doesn't matter who they marry, they go, oh, this uri is ngā puhi, and that's it. See, the ideas of diversification among the lines, among the lineages and ancestries of descent are completely cut off. See how all those practices are modern, Pākehā, and largely of the colonizer, which is not the Pākehā, this is the crown, the Grauna. And so we largely get those wrong. So I wanted to mention all those complexities, all those areas of the question that kahunu-rangitane have absolutely wrong. You know, and they have that absolutely wrong, all of that absolutely wrong, right through their claims. And this is why over the last 15 years we've just completely kicked their bum. You know, completely kicked their bum. No matter how much the Crown wanted to continually scratch their back and they wanted to scratch the Crown's back, eta. You know, they never got the ascendancy over us that they ever really wanted. And as soon as we laid the wakatapu, we had total control. And we knew that. We just didn't know we would get a time where we would need to apply that full power. And now we do, and we're at full power. Let's hope that they learn that we mean business and we are a real iwi, and that there is no way that from here they can get any ascendancy again, be it through the Crown or anybody else. They will need to be compliant. They will need to be humble teina, and the teina lineages that they are within our lens. You know, be it forever. If they want this left like this forever, we're fine with that. So Tahumaakaa kanuimatua are here, and we're the only ao kōhatu amongst us anyway. Okay, we're the only ao kōhatu. Okay, and so nativity, you know, reo take within kahunu-rangitane, oh, look, forget it. Within Tahumaakaa kanuimatua, ai, kai te tika, kai te pai. I mean, you might have some first language speakers, but they wouldn't have reo hapu, they wouldn't have reo matua, and they wouldn't have reo hapu, I guarantee you, which is what makes up a native tongue among our super tribes. And we know that. Some of the tūhoe have asked us why we think some of their people are not natives down in this area. They come down here. They think they're all kōhatu. They think they're natives as well. And we go to them, well, according to what we know about you, you're not. And they question us why. Well, there's why. They don't have those three reo from within awa. And from what we know of awa, you know, they don't largely use their reo hapu. They don't largely use their reo hapu. We know our reo hapu was being used up there in the north in 1834, 1835. There's lots of traces of that. Okay, and so the ao kōhatu in the north, in TeTaiTongaAukatiTai, whilst we're coming into, I'll go for a little bit more than 2 hours, because I think we started a wee bit late, probably about 10 past 2 or somewhere around there. So I'll go until about 10 past 4, something like that. Time-wise, we're looking pretty good. 25 past 3. TeTaiTongaAukatiTai, such a complex beast, complicated. Lots of different factions up there, especially around the reo. And we've got to get the reo right, because that's one of the margins, that's one of the measures that tells us we've got things right. That's how we can check back and see if we've got it right. I don't know what they're checking things on up there with that reo that Ngāpuhi's using, but they can't be checking it right. You know why? Because there's no way that could be Ngāpuhi's reo. You know why? Because they don't have UretaarewaHapu. I know one of the beliefs up there is that Hapu and Hapu comes from Io kaite tēnā. No Hapu comes from Io, and is utilised in the wānanga. If that's what they're going to try and use up there, if that's what they're going to say is used by their iwi, where is Ngāpuhi and iwi? And where is their UretaarewaHapu? If 7 primary iwi in the country are built with UretaarewaHapu through Mother Nature, then where, I pray, does Ngāpuhi get their iwi structure from? If they're going to try and tell us that that's just from their other uri subgroup descent groups like Hine Amaru and all of them, what's that other one? And like, I can't stand that when names slip my mind just like that. But all their different lines of uri up that way. None of them have their own reo or mix them with any other reo at the moment. So a lot of reo is missing up there. And we think part of the problem is the large focus of the Ngāpuhi uri on that particular Hapu that they've got going on up there, that we still believe isn't theirs. And it can't be. It can't be. When we start to interpret with them and show them how to interpret their lines of descent, they'll start to question. We would say the great majority, there would be 1 to about 3 large groupings among Ngāpuhi that would question actually where their origins lie once they've finished working with us. 3 large groups of them. I remember back when we first shared knowledge about the Ngāpuhi being more awa rather than more of their own iwi. We forgot to share about the different other factions more so that they should be affiliating with. And what I'll do before we start, I actually want to leave it for when we start working with them up there, but they will find that there's some large connections with the Tahumaakaa kanuimatua, with awa, and with moriori. See, so those 3 groups need to be accounted for among those lines. If we work with them, I guarantee you they come out the same as how we've worked them out to be. But we're going to have to work alongside them so that they see clearly for themselves that what we're talking about isn't any sort of coincidence. It's not driven by us trying to prove them wrong. We're not trying to prove them wrong. We know so. We know so that they have to be wrong. These are taonga tukuiho from Te Ao Kōhatu. You can't tell us that the Ngāpuhi people are the only people who are, what do you call it? They don't need to use these to establish themselves being an iwi. Kai te e tēnā. Kai te e tēnā. I mean, we're going to conflict up there. If they're going to try and say up there they don't need Uretaarewa, blah, blah, blah. And that they'll come from io, blah, blah, blah. That would just be hanga kōrero. Because in Te Ao Kōhatu, if they're saying that up there, then they're not Ao Kōhatu largely. And so we will be right in saying that. Though they do have some Ao Kōhatu knowledge up there, largely there's a big grouping of them that are not. Okay? And that's what happens when you say things like that. It's been quite embarrassing down this way, where a lot of tūhoe, actually not a lot, actually just a few of tūhoe and a few of awa have actually gone against us down here. And yet we've brought all the Ao Kōhatu, the taonga tukuiho, to the argument. And we're the only ones. Okay? And all they've done is advise kahungunu to do this, rangitane to do that. From an Ao Kōhatu sort of perspective, but wrong kōrero for them, specifically. And that's where those tribes went wrong. They did exactly what they said and they shouldn't have. Whole different worldview of the Ao Kōhatu, see? They should have been listening to us. And this is how colonized they are, because they'd rather listen to them. See? And the whole worldview of Ao Kōhatu is, the ones who share the similar Ao Kōhatu worldview is us and them. See, so they should have listened to us. No, they listened to Tūhoe and Awa, and they got sucked in. They probably thought they'd dominate us after that, and they got sucked in. Because we came back at them and came back at them. We're hoping that doesn't happen up there. We're hoping that they keep an open mind, keep an open heart up there. And just like we did through Kush, through the Canaanites, through Africa, Nubia, through Ihiperu, and the Camites and Shemites, Israelites, all our super tribal groupings of cultures and our super tribal groupings, and we broke out on our own. We actually, coming from there one whānau, we brought our kind of lineages with us, regardless of whether we wanted to follow the pantheon and have our own Te Ao Kōhatu. We'll find that. That's fine. But you can't do away with that tuakana line. Be it their own other world, their own world that they lived in was the ancient world that we came from. Look, our Tupuna that we came away with, that went out to Pacifica, that came to New Zealand, and built their own culture around the pantheon. Kare mahuere ke ake atu I te mea nei. I te tūākana nei, karaka. Ai roto ke tonu I a tātou mātai. E whānau kutahi ki no tātou mātai. Nā reira te ao rātou, no te tahatunu ki a tātou mātai. Tata, pātata mai, pātata mai. And so we cannot say, he te ina ki no te atua nei, no te tūākana nei. And remembering that this atua ka hara mai ki roto ki a rātou, e whanaunga tonu, kiko, kiri, tina nāti. Okay? Mau mahara atu ki tērā o ngā kōrero. And that's nothing new among us, going right back to the ancient African super tribes. Going right back into the ancient African super tribes. We had that sort of thing. The most noble of the nobles, became like gods. We you know, we had that ability to bring the godlike form into human form. Okay, and we did that, and we still do that. Moai is more so the ones with that sort of atua like, you know, the most noble of nobles, you know, that have come through the ages, that have made it through all the generations of the struggles, you know, and still come out on top. Hea tua tanga tēnā. Me te whakatika mai I roto I a rātau. Rā runga tonu I auawa. Rā runga tonu I aua whakatupuranga. Rā runga tonu I ngā rau taura. I ngā mano taura. I te atuatuatanga, te wairuatanga hoki o rātau. Kai te kaha tonu. And yeah, more I like that today. Tahumaakaa kanuimatua was like that in the past. To us today, we think we've got a lot to live up to, so we're going to continue to grow and continue to build on what we have today, even though hea tuatua tahumaakaa kanuimatua in the past. Yeah, we're continuing to build on that. And engari, you know, we still say he tupua he atua. Ko tahumaakaa kanuimatua o Tutura te matua. He tupua he atua. See? And you know, so those things are not new. Those things are not new. We come from those super tribal cultures. Since ancient times, we've been super tribes. The thing with us is we continue to diversify. So this is why I say always keep an open mind, because you might even find another different tribe at some point. We don't think things will change. We're not saying brace yourself for more change. No, we're not saying that. But being open, like our Tupuna were always open, they didn't allow for monocultural, mono-super tribal thinking to overtake us in any which way, shape or form, to overtake our way of thinking. Okay? Yeah, super tribes had their organization, super tribes had their, you know, there was sua kanatena, blah, blah, blah. But we also had our own personal rights and interests in each one. So we had the freedom and the open-mindedness and the open-heartedness to commit to each one. We didn't have to just commit to the one. Although our main line of descent, our most direct line of descent, we always held on to, we did not make that the be-all or end-all either, unless we had to fight for it. Okay, problem is today we're too much having to fight for it. And we shouldn't have to, but then the rest of our cultural super tribal world isn't at peace anymore. We're forever struggling, forever battling. You know, the unparallels and the discriminations and the imbalances caused by the colonizer from right throughout society, and even today. It's still happening. Okay, so we've got all those battles as well that we're battling right through. So hopefully in TeTaiTongaAukatiTai, it doesn't become a conflict up there. If it does, then it's a lot less hauko hatu up there than we thought. If it doesn't, then they're pretty open to discussing around those matters. Because we are hikaroa up there just as well as moai, just as well as Teawa, just as well as Māmoe. And Tahupōtiki is up there as well. Tahupōtikiuri. Okay? And what does that mean? That means we were here before awa. Okay, we were in TeTaiTongaAukatiTai before awa. Okay, so they have to be careful with a lot of what they're claiming. Certain lands we know, kai reira awa, kai te pai tērā, kaitipai tēnā. But once they hear where we connect within those lands, they might think a bit twice from counting us out of there. And that's where a lot of things come in. We get a bit too mono today. We get placed into a position where we've been so divided and conquered and ruled from the infiltrating ways of the crown, the colonizer. We've ended up in that way. But we are Hikaroa in the north, south, east, and west. Okay? Aye. And we make for every one of the iwi to be descendants of Moai. And these are the descendants that came from Moai, is the 7 primary iwi of the country. Okay? Lots of the others may be more Rarotonga in some cases, some Cook Island in some cases. But the iwi of the country we know to be more Moai, therefore they're Tahitian. Raiatea, Tahiti, or different islands in Raiatea, Tahiti, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there's a lot of reo up there. Remember, we've said all 7 iwi in TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. Okay, so our claims up there are Taunaha. When we're talking Taunaha, we're talking claims way before the current claim system and the settlements of the crown. In fact, when we bring Taunaha to the table, or we bring that to the fold, and we talk Taunaha, we're talking about Tutura claims before anything else. Okay? And so this is where things get difficult for awa and ngāpuhi up there. See? The same thing should have been the case once Moai came onto the scene up there. The same thing should have been the case. I don't know what's happened there or anything like that, but it sounds okay. It sounds like everyone works pretty well. But the understanding needs to be upheld. You know, Moai, Te Awa, Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, and Māmoe in particular, including Moriori, are ahi kā roa in TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. Okay, doesn't matter what the land court says. Well, we can derive everything. We could probably substantiate everything through land court information. You know, all the reo through there, I guarantee you. A lot of the reo are hidden within those archives. Well, we've already seen a lot of the reo up there. But we're talking about a lot of the reo in terms of what's utilised up there is very little compared to what's up there. Okay? And one of the reasons for that is this total focus on this one reo. It couldn't be Ngāpuhi. There are a lot of Ngāpuhi people you thought were Ngāpuhi spoke their reo. Kaitipai tēnā. But if we can prove to you, and along with you show you, that your other lines are probably far more preeminent and affiliatory for you within your whakapapa, then I guarantee you, in the end, that reo becomes either yours or not, but under a whole different grouping. Okay, and so though, you know, a large chunk of ngāpuhi would come out awa, yes, and, you know, via whakapapa, yeah, they're awa anyway. But then some of their whakapapa diverges into other more senior tribes, blah, blah, blah. And I've mentioned Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, I've mentioned Māmoe, and I've mentioned Moriori. And they're all senior to awa. Okay? And they're all senior to ngāpuhi. Okay, so there's a lot more of them up there than you realise. Okay, including us, we already know. We're about 45,000 up there. Okay, so there's a lot more going down up there. A lot of people still up there getting it wrong. Why? Because of their interpretation of the whakapapa and whakapapa kōrero inclusive up there. They're still getting it wrong. And they have to be. They have to be. Because there's no way, according to te ao kōhatu, that ngā puhi could be an iwi. There's no way. No way in the world. Okay? We have to look at, too, the areas where the Crown totally overly exaggerated ngā puhi. In the wars, perhaps ngā puhi were strongly overrated in those wars. Okay, perhaps there were a lot of other of the whanaunga up that way, and there certainly were not just ngā puhi in that whole region of the north. Okay, and we know that. Angelo Ballara mentions 12 major groups. We do two things with that. We infuse the whole of the 7 primary iwi within those 12 groups, and we add to them Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, and these particular hapu composites, la kainui, te ao matarahi matua, muau poko, that's another hapu composite I forgot to mention last night. They haven't gone back into ao kōhatu yet, but they will. Okay, and they're senior to Māmoe, but they're a hapu composite. I forgot to mention them last night. That's Muaupoko, Māmoe. Okay, Waitaha Nui, who are very, very close, interrelatively. They're intermarried very strongly. Almost everywhere that Waitaha Nui is in the country, you'll find that they're hugely intermarried out by the Māmoe. Okay? So it's not a surprise that Waitaha Nui are also in the north. Tahupo Tiki Uri, and the other one is Waitaha Rangi, which are the people that were strongly intermarried with us on Takitimu. Okay? Now, back a few kōrero ago, I mentioned that in some of the kōrero of the Pākehā authors up that way, a lot of them discussed the people of Takitimu getting evicted or ejected from the north. A lot of them talked about awa having battles with the Waitaha Rangi and losing some, and then Tamatea Rikinui and his people got evicted from the north. That's false. That's false. We've never left. Don't forget I'm part Waitaha Rangi. In fact, I hold the taiopuru of Waitaha Rangi. So Tamatea Rikinui's taiopuru that went to Tamatea Urehaya and never left Tamatea Urehaya. I now hold that. Okay? So, yeah, that line never got evicted from the north. Kahungunu Tupuna and kahunu-uri, yeah, apart from some of the things going on and some people wanting to squash all those, we can't sort of wipe away the heritage though. Even though they might close down as a people, because that's in the air at the moment, and especially with the Whakatapu on, it could count for everything in the weeks to come. Who knows? And they could end up getting shut down as an operative uri or super tribe. or part of our iwi. Still, that doesn't get rid of the heritage. That doesn't get rid of the tupuna. That doesn't get rid of the intermarriages and all the uri. So that's the difficult thing with that, is you can't wipe away them. You can get rid of the uri operation. You can get rid of the iwi operation, because they try and say that they're an iwi as well. And that wouldn't be particularly ao kōhatu either, because they try and make that up without ao kōhatu means. And that's not possible. That's not possible. Okay, you can't be truly an iwi unless you have those structures we spoke about last night. Okay, so it's going to be, there's going to be some tough talks go on. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be a lot of hard work go on in the north as we look to further establish ourselves again back into the north as the ahikaroa that we are. One with Moai, one with Tewa, one with Te Tura te Matua. So how many reo are operating up there? There's Moai, Tewa, Te Tura te Matua, Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, all the reo of those hapu composites and that tahu pōtiki uri. Their reo in particular, I know to be in particular awa. They came out of Irakai Pūtahi, which was not an iwi, there was a hapu composite. Now, because they are part of Whakataunga, that's another uri composite of awa. Uri composite, I said of Whakataunga is hapu composite. Irakai Pūtahi is the uri composite. Okay, see? And so that puts them into context. And why largely it could have been the case that, their tribal statuses of their descendants, no iwi came out of there. Paikea's people, none of them were actually iwi. Okay? They were considered powerful in their time, at, the huri pureiata, things changed at that point in time. That was back in Rarotonga, where Paikea's lineage lost the battle there. I think more so we felt sorry for the second line, and that's why one of our Māreikura, one of our kuia kaumātua Māreikura, married into that line, married to Uetakoroheke. And he was from the second line. The kōrero continues. And we've got a lot more kōrero up there to start talking around some of the things. Hopefully we can pick up and include Moai with us. We will include all our te awa kōrero in there. We will include all the reo. So there's probably about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, roughly 10 or 11 other major reo up there, apart from some of the others that would have been utilised daily on the ground, especially up in TeTaiTongaAukatiTai in Te Ao Kōhatu. Which doesn't mean that should change today, but realistically, if we want to count of all the reo that aren't being used, there's probably, roughly, if there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reo in the, 6 plus whātua, 6 reo mainly being utilised up there. That's not even a quarter of the reo that are up there. That includes ours, Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua. Okay? There's not even a quarter of the reo that belong up there. That reo that the Ngāpuhi always uses, not the only reo up there, or originally from there. All our reo are originally from there. Okay? So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time working with the people up there. Let's hope we can get through that work peacefully, and that we can share a lot of our experiences of te ao kōhatu, and not only that, but all of the taonga tuku iho of te ao kōhatu. Okay? And we're utilising everything from te ao kōhatu. Now, you can't tell me that that's so much different. I mean, we've studied all the 7 primary iwi of the country. You can't tell me it's much different in TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. I mean, if you're a tribe that just wants to, you can't handle the fact that we're saying that you're not an iwi, and you want to try and deem yourselves an iwi in your own modern way, that's not happening. Okay, that's not ao kōhatu. Okay, and the taonga that you're using to do that by utilising hearsay to say that, our reo came from io, kai te he tēnā. Kai te he tēnā. Okay, so, and you're trying to avoid the fact that you need Uretaarewa to have a Hapu. Kai te he tēnā. And so, yeah, we're going to have some really good talks up there. Okay, we might sow conflict, but yeah, still, there are talks still that we need to have. The talks that we need to have up there, and being the ao kōhatu that we are, we're likely to stick it out. Until such a time, I mean, like now, it's taken right up till now to put our whakatapu down here at full power. We don't think we'll need it up there. Why? Because there's more ao kōhatu up there. And that's why I said that. Some people did ask about that. What did you mean by a little more ao kōhatu up there? And that's exactly what I meant. There's a little of that in Ngāpuhi. And then there's ao kōhatu that's solid up there. But it's not largely through Ngāpuhi. It's through awa, it's through moai, it's through te awa, through tira te matua, through Tahumaakaa kanuimatua, and our branches of the Māmoe that we've largely worked with. Okay, and so, yeah, you can't really get away from that. If we look back at that worldview of te ao kōhatu, the same thing goes for Hawaii. Hawaii, to us, for us, are teina. See? So Hawaii would go to their world where we connect with Hawaii, would still go to the side, but they would go to this side. Okay, and their world from side to side. Why do we put them at the side? According to Te Kura Iawarua, that gives us the choice of being able to live with and utilise componentries and consistencies from within each of those worlds, quite freely. But all we have to remember is one is tuakana, one is teina. Quite freely within those worlds, and they're quite free to utilise what we've got. The only thing is we've got God centred, so we've reconnected with our ancient roots through those lines where Te Yahweh Atua was first brought to us. And we've reconnected back with that line. And we're starting to build on that reconnection. Okay? And we've reconnected with them. Why? Because we know for a fact that is our strength, the basis of our strength for the future, including our own, te ao kōhatu. We're not doing away with that, no. This is not us saying, oh, forget all of that. But we are going to do away with those things that never did any good for us. Okay? And all that occult stuff, this is what a lot of our people are not realizing. That this is not to put down some of those that have gone back to the realm of Io, all those sorts of things, and they exalt all the deities of those Atua. Fine by us if you want to do that within your iwi. But tuturu, those are a lot of the things that different cultures throughout the world frown at. And also that, especially the occult, the repugnant ways of peoples were quickly picked up on. And had we not had those ways within our culture in this country, I dare say the colonizer probably would have taken it a bit easier on us when they tried to take us over and actually succeeded through te tiriti to take us over and assimilate us. Te mea. Okay? And we're nearly to the end of the sun, and I've almost done all of that kōrero. Yeah, so Hawaii comes in a tēnā line to us, not actually tūākana to us, Hawaii. And so, those worlds we're able to work with. The special lines within them are the ones that we are talking about that have that tūākana status within our world. And for our connections with Iheraera and with Keinini, Kuhi, ngā uri, ngā hapu, ki hurara, Iheraera, e rā tāngata katoa, e rā hapu katoa. We have reconnected back with all of them and aiming to be God first. That is not a non-ao kōhatu move. Kai te he tēnā. That is not a non-ao kōhatu move. That is very, very ao kōhatu. In fact, more ao kōhatu than the tūhoe and our worldview, which we think is a little too non-flexible, it's a little too mono, and also a little too, perhaps a bit oversimplified. Okay? Now, our way allows for the worlds of these lineages that we're intermarried with or connected with to own their world still and be one still with us, and for us to share in our different worlds and still be one. Because super tribally we are. We're all super tribal cultures, and we all came from cultures that continually diversified culturally and tribally, super tribally. And that's how we built our culture when we came here. When we got to New Zealand, our culture began to build in a certain way, a certain fashion. Same thing. Same thing when we got to India, to that area of Irihia, Hawaii Kinui. We developed a culture there, where largely a lot of the ao kōhatu things that we took into the Pacifica, we developed in there, and we diversified our tribal groups out yet again. And then we've done it even more once we got here to Te Tiri o Te Moana, kia mata. We call New Zealand Te Tiri o Te Moana. Just people like to use Aotearoa. We use both Aotearoa and Hawaii-ki-tai. Why? Because Aotearoa to us in our reo means South Island. And Hawaii-ki-tai is the North Island. So we make sure we verify which is which. But te tiri o te moana, quite comfortably, is every part of the country of New Zealand in our reo. Okay, and from what we know, the whakapapa kōrero, we know of that name and the name New Zealand. So, yeah, changing the name of our country to Aotearoa does nothing for us. It just verifies we've got a South Island. That's all that does for us. Let's hope in the north we make a lot more. They did make some progress, but I think some real stayers with ngā puhi. No one's saying give up ngā puhi, but you definitely have to give up the iwi, thinking that you've got an iwi, thinking that you were the main iwi, and thinking that you were, in fact, the only iwi up there. It's got to be incorrect, even if you're thinking now that you're more awa up there. That's got to be incorrect as well. Because not everyone is most direct awa up there, boy. Okay? Not everyone is most direct awa up that way. And especially if you've got all 7 iwi, tribes from all 7 iwi up there. Okay? So it's a bit more diverse up there than you think. A bit more diverse. But we make them majority split between, especially the ngāpuhi, between moriori, awa, Tahumaakaa, kanuimatua, and māmoe, and then ngāpuhi. But then if you're ngāpuhi anyway, you're still awa. But whether you're most direct within your whakapapa, we'll soon work that out. Okay? We'll soon work that out. And we'll show you how to. It just depends on your whakapapa. Once you show us your whakapapa up there, we will know. Those people who want to work with us will be able to work that out. Once it's a good practice up there, and people get it right with the taonga of te ao kōhatu that we have, and people start to get that right, they'll start to, branch off into there. And they'll realise whether they've got the right line. They'll actually realise, I believed I was only ngāpuhi before. Now I believe I'm moriori and that I'm correct. Because, all my relatives, things start to fall into place. Well, I doubt that they're having that up there. They just want it to be like that. They just want to make a reality something that isn't at the moment and that is getting put into a certain context up there at the moment. And so they think, well, maybe blah, 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 blah. Well, we can test that by bringing in those different ways of te ao kōhatu, of interpreting all your lines of whakapapa. Testing them off the reo, off the whakapapa, off the whakapapa kōrero, off everything up there to see whether we've got things right. And I guarantee you we'll get that right. We'll get that right. And I bet you by the end of it, the reo that they've been holding on to up there ends up not a problem for them to let go. Because they'll realise, ara tērā I taku reo matua. Ara I te reo Hapu iauna. I roto I ngā kōrero, I roto I ngā tūngā huatanga. Ki te TeTaiTongaAukatiTai. Okay, and I'm going to finish right there. E tatauma, I'm so happy to get through all that kōrero and to now be completed that kōrero. And I just fitted in with the time. So I e tatauma, look, Father Lord, yes, we look forward to the weeks ahead, to the days ahead. In hope that the kahungunu rangitāne learn their lessons, and so do the Crown, and they understand that we are the mana wenua in Wairarapa-Tararua, and that's the way it's going to be, and that they might as well just take their teina and their lower chiefly statuses, their teina lines also among the Tahumaakaa kanuimatua, as they are, and not try to be the overly exaggerated tribes who try to be modern iwi, or what we call iwi, a people outside of an iwi, a people outside of an iwi. Look, Father Lord, just thanks and praises to you, all the glory to you, because you've brought us to this stage, and we're so happy because your judgment has counted for everything on this whole situation. You have ensured we do the right thing and commit to our whakatapu in the region, and that we make sure that Lord, Father Lord, that we commit to that, take full control, and ensure that full control of the entire region is all ours by the finish. Of course, with you with us, of course. What else would we do but your will and the plans that working hard to fulfill the plans that you have for us and for all of us. Keep your protection and your love over us all at all times, Father Lord. Te Yahweh atua, te Papa, e tō matamatua, nui te rangi. In Jesus' name, amen. Ka piti hono ka tātai hono ko rātau mātonu anu tēnā rātau, te mate kia rātau. Ka piti hono ka tātai hono ko tātau mātonu anu tēnei tātau, mā kuau, te kānohi ora ki a tātou, mā kuau, kai te mihi atu, tō koutou nā no, karamui mai ngā kōrero ki ngā whakataunga kreme, a Tahumaakaa kanuimatua, kai te mihi atu tēnā rā tātou, Māori ora, kahu